Rory is in Dundee.
While unemployment fell again in Britain as a whole, it's back up in Scotland. We're at a high-tech company in Dundee, a city where they're crying out for more jobs like these.
Employment's fallen again by just over 3,000 over the country as a whole, but in Scotland it's 2,400 up. Now that's what the statistics say. Let's see what Rory says in Dundee.
Well, we're in one of Dundee's biggest employers, NCR, which makes these hole-in-the-wall machines for banks all over the world. We'll be hearing a bit more about that business a little later. But first of all, the general employment picture in Scotland. We've already heard of 900 redundancies here this week in Glasgow at Yarrow Shipbuilders and Littlewoods Pools. Today we're seeing the jobless figures back up again. The Scottish industry ministers blame that on the beef crisis. Well, here in Dundee, we're in a great manufacturing city which has been through some pretty hard times, but it thinks it's coming back. The unemployment rate here is just over 9%, a bit above the national average, and they're fighting to get their very skilled workforce back into skilled jobs. 3 years ago, these were the scenes that brought Dundee unwelcome attention around the world. After a bitter industrial dispute, the American-run Timex Corporation pulled out of the city after 46 years, blaming big losses and a militant workforce. A year later, more bad news when Tesco took over William Lowe, and most of the 350 staff at the Dundee headquarters lost their jobs. Now 150 of those posts are coming back to the city with the opening of a new Tesco customer service centre. And Dundee, with a great industrial past, believes it's also competing for the kind of jobs which will give it a sound future.
Well, I think it shows a classic case of transformation from an old economy based on some staple products through engineering, general engineering, into high technology, based on some very good management and some very good workers. And it's a classic case of a city rediscovering itself and finding new markets.
The Timex dispute only accentuated Dundee's image as a hotbed of industrial militancy, but union leaders say that's now an unfair picture.
It's the old story, if you give a dog a bad name, is it ever going to go away? It was never as bad as it was made out to be. In terms of industrial disputes, I've been a trade union official for 10 years in Dundee, and I can only say in the main that you could count on one hand the amount of disputes, both serious and not so serious, that there have been in the city.
NCR arrived here from America 50 years ago and now employs 1,400 people. For the past 5 years, it's been owned by the phone giant AT&T, but this year it's due to regain its independence. Like many Scottish workers, though, these people know their destiny is controlled in America. So how confident can they be?
The company's commitment is pretty deep. The company's been successful and very successful here over a very long period of time. And I think there's a complete consensus in the company here in the United States that Dundee's a good place to do business.
Plenty of Dundonians have skills like those on display in this plant. What the city now needs is more companies to come and make use of them.
Back to Dundee and Rory, who should be able to tell us when he gets back how to break into cash point machines.
Well, Adrian, I'm trying to get some money out here. It doesn't seem to be working too well. I could have sworn I had some cash and I need some for the rest of the week. And thought I'd chewed up my card for a moment. Not surprising it's not working, really. This is the NCR cash machine for the staff who actually build these machines here in Dundee. This is the factory which makes 80% of all the hole-in-the-wall machines that you'll see in Britain, 40% of all the ones you'll see all over the world. It's known locally simply as the Cash. It came here as national cash registers just after the war, building those great clunking cash registers you saw in every shop. Of course, it's got a lot more high-tech since then, completely switched into these ATM machines, as they call them. And I've been looking at the technology behind the hole-in-the-wall. Here's a shiny new cash machine bound for Hong Kong, as you can see. Let's go round the back, see the guts of it, see how it works with Barry Clark from the development unit here. Barry the Boffin, just take us through it.
Okay. The transaction is initiated by the customer inserting his magnetic card into the card reader, which processes the transaction on the basis of information read. There's the ability to capture the card if needs be.
Choose my card up if I haven't got enough money.
Yes, indeed.
Right into there.
Adjacent to that is a 40-column receipt printer, so the customer has a record of the transaction, and there's a journal printer so that the bank also has a record. The unit is powered by a personal computer, essentially.
This is basically a computer with a few attachments.
Yes, quite sophisticated attachments. The main element within the unit is the dispenser, which is contained within the safe.
Now, how safe is this safe? How easy for people to get into it?
Well, you can judge from the strength of the steel. It's very secure. There are a variety of alarm options also, which we can have. Here we have a 4-high dispenser and a depository adjacent. Each of these canisters can contain up to 2,000 notes.
I'm getting excited here. I'm getting closer to the money. Right. So that's jam-packed full of £20 notes. Right, that's how the basic machine works. They're doing a lot of research and development here. Let's see what ideas they're coming up with. I've got a cheque here to put into the bank. The bank doesn't want to push it through a lot of back offices. They think they've got a machine here to do the job. And Carol, the test engineer, is going to put the cheque in while Barry describes what happens.
The document is now being brought to the back of the transport, where it is aligned to the reference wall at the back. It's then moved forward past 2 cameras, one at the front, one at the rear, and a variety of optional printers, which analyse and print on the document, which is then returned to the power pocket for subsequent processing by the bank.
What we all want to know, of course, is that we're getting the right number of notes out of the cash machine, preferably more. Barry, this is a brand new, modern type of cash dispenser. Explain what's different about it. Bubble press the button.
Okay. Basically, the notes are extracted from the cassettes by these mechanisms. We use a vacuum technique, which is very reliable and can handle poor quality bills. The notes are stacked by this stacker wheel and then presented in a clean bunch to the customer. During the process, we actually measure the cross-sectional area of the notes to make sure that the customer gets exactly the number required, no more, no less.
So no chance of a bonus here?
Absolutely not.
Right, well, that's what I've got for the rest of the week, Adrian. I don't think I'm going to get very far on it.